Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today, Kyle Bauer is back at Henry Pork in Clay County, talking with Kate Henry, wife of Marc Henry. She talks about moving from the city to the farm and how she has adjusted to the farm life, especially the smell. Next, learn some simple grazing thresholds that ranchers record to know when to adjust their stocking rates on pastures. Then Kyle continues his tour at Henry Pork with a conversation with Linda Henry, wife of Roy and mother of Marc, who we met last week. Learn about her role in the family hog operation. Next up is today's Kansas Farm Bureau update. And to wrap up, it's Plain Talk with Kyle and Duane. That's what's coming up today on Farm Factor. Stay tuned.
Join Ag AM in Kansas, everyone, Monday through Friday mornings on local stations throughout the state of Kansas, and every day on your favorite social media. Monday kicks off with Dr. Dan Thompson on Doc Talk, as he's joined by leading veterinarians and nutritionists in food animal production. They discuss current production challenges and tips on how to deal and prepare for those challenges. Tuesdays on Farm Factor, it is our friends here at KFRM Radio with interviews from top experts in agriculture. Wednesday, it is a little of Kansas history with Deb Goodrich on Around Kansas. Thursday, Britton Rucker brings us Ag Etc. This day is filled with agricultural research and ag happenings around the Midwest, including our new Young Leaders in Ag segment. We end the week with Authentic Ag and updates from your local checkoff programs. Make sure to check your local listings or like us on Facebook and Twitter at Ag AM in Kansas and on YouTube at Farming Unlimited TV so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching. This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Let's join Kyle Bauer, who is back at Henry Pork's open house, visiting with Kate Henry about her adjustment from city to farm life.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I get a chance to visit with Kate Henry, and Kate is married to Marc Henry, and she came from Kansas City to be incorporated into a large modern farm operation in southern Clay County. Kate, I gotta say, how did that journey happen? How did you end up out of Kansas City in southern Clay County?
Marc graduated early from Fort Hays in December, and our friends, who are our best friends now, introduced us, and I was at K-State, and it was a whirlwind after that.
So you were not in interior Kansas City. You were kind of on the edge.
On the edge, yeah. There were a few farms around our neighborhoods, but nothing like Clay County.
So as you came out and visited, I mean, you weren't from a farm. How foreign was it for you?
Very foreign. I did not know what a combine was. I thought pigs were all outside. I had no idea that there was an operation where you had to shower in for biosecurity to take care of animals.
And now everybody understands hogs have an aroma to them. And to a girl from the city, how did that go?
Well, I'm still adjusting almost 20 years later. I would rather, if I had to choose, be around cattle than pigs just because of the smell. But we have friends, when their kids come over, they run from our vehicle straight to the house. They're city kids, and they do this. It's a very strong smell.
You know, when you first got married, you don't live in this house that you do now. It's half a mile apart. Or talk about raising kids on a farm where you first lived. I mean, you were right in the middle of the operation.
Yeah, when we first lived right on the farm for about 10 years, we lived in my husband's grandparents' house, which was cool. But it was not what I would consider in the country because of all of the traffic. And we had to put a fence up for our kids because of semis and feed trucks. And now we live a little further, and our kids just roam all over, and we don't have to worry about it.
So as you got used to pig operations, were you surprised how scientific it was?
Yes, especially now with our new facility. It's pretty state-of-the-art. It's kind of amazing. I don't think that people realize what farmers do, and the genetics and all that. So
Truly, when you came out, I mean, the Henry Limited, Henry Hogs, Henry Pork has been industry leaders or certainly cutting edge for many, many decades. Did you realize you were marrying into that sophisticated of an operation?
I definitely did not, not at all. And I really think that it took me several years to realize how big of a deal this farm was and how hard all the generations before my husband worked to make it what it is now. And hopefully we can pass it on if any of our kids maybe want to, do the same thing. But no, I had no idea.
I wanted to ask you about the generations. Your kids are very, very talented in a lot of different areas, from music to athletics, and yet I know they work on the farm. Being a city girl, raising kids on the farm, has that been an attitude adjustment or not?
Yes, and during the quarantine, it has showed me how important it is with our kids being home. They have really learned how to be hard workers, and it's something that I didn't do. I had jobs from when I was about 15, but I didn't work like my kids do, and they don't always like it. But I think that when they're my age, they're going to appreciate it.
One last thing. You're about 15, 20 miles from town, and you grew up on the edge of town. How long did it take you to adjust to rural living when you moved out?
Well, it took me, I would say, about 4 or 5 years, honestly, to really understand how everything worked and to know that sometimes your husband isn't going to be home until 1 a.m. from harvest, and then he's going to leave the next day at 4:45, and to meet other farm people and become friends with them. So I would say about 4 or 5 years, and I would never go back to the city, ever.
Thanks, Kyle. After the break, learn simple techniques ranchers use that have big results when it comes to grazing cattle.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun. Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to Western Kansas.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Next, we learn about some simple grazing thresholds to look for in pasture management.
Pasture, the ranch's foundation, needs enough attention to support your cow herd. That begins with understanding your water table.
Our season begins actually when the water begins to recharge in our soils. That begins in October at the end of the growing season. By the time we get to spring, we should have a certain amount of precipitation that is actually accumulated in the soil. And if we get an adequate amount, spring will come early. If we don't, it might be delayed. But it sets the stage for our spring. And then if we track it through the spring season, then we can have a better understanding of how we need to adjust stocking rates if necessary, should either one, we receive abundant rainfall and can add more numbers, or if we receive less rainfall, how we need to destock in order to preserve our pastures.
When driving or walking across a pasture, don't forget to look down.
Looking at what the residual looks like. Do we have adequate ground cover? Is it what we should expect? And is it in a condition that we want to be managing for improvement or to maintain?
An intuitive ranch assessment should score those variables on a 4-point system with no midpoint or average.
Either you're unfavorable or you're favorable condition, and then you can be at the extreme. So what we really want to be able to do is gauge ourselves to where over time we have more favorable conditions on all those variables, and then it tells us that our stocking rate's about where it should be.
Take half, leave half is a good rule of thumb, but you have to monitor and record that to help set grazing thresholds.
We've all got our iPhones. We really like to take pictures, but being able to take those pictures in an intentional manner where we're at the peak of the growing season and at the end of the growing season in the same locations on those key sites that we're really trying to manage will give us an indication over time how well our management is working toward the goals that we've established for our pastures. The other thing that we can do is use grazing exclosures, where we take a bull panel, put it into a circle or into a square, put it out there on some of our key sites, and we know that each of those squares from the bottom up are either 4 to 6 inches in distance. If we know what that is, it gives us a gauge every time the cattle are moving through those pastures about how much we've grazed versus what they have ungrazed inside the exclosure.
Doing something simple is better than doing nothing when it comes to pasture management. I'm Bob Cervera.
When we come back, Kyle is back at Henry Pork and talks with Linda Henry about her role in the family business.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop. Liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Kyle is now with Linda Henry of Henry Pork in Clay County.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I get a chance to visit with Linda Henry, another part of Henry 5 LLC. This is their open house for their new hog gestation and farrowing unit in southern Clay County. Linda, you've been very, very involved with the farm, all of you and Roy's married life. Tell us about what your involvement has been.
Well, my job is the bookkeeper, and I didn't really think when I got out of college and had a elementary education degree that I was going to end up being the bookkeeper for a hog operation. But I'm the one that is very type A, and so I am the one who gets to take care of the books.
And with a hog operation, though, you've evolved that a lot over the years, and it's grown. There's a lot of aspects of that besides just raising the hogs.
For sure there is. When we first moved home, the pigs were in little huts and outside with electric fence around it. And we've gone from that to everything is inside housing, and you have to shower in and shower out. And about every probably 15 to 20 years, we would add buildings or redo. And that's what we're doing now with this new facility.
Well, and truly, over the years, the equipment wears out, the facilities wear out, but the technology changes, and certainly you and Roy have tried to stay on the front edge of that technology.
For sure we have, and part of it is, I hate to say, as you get older, you want things to be easier, and the technology certainly makes it easier to feed sows. We used to do that by hand, and now it's all automatic, which is wonderful.
But you and Roy also have spent many, many hours, days, years traveling to national meetings with other pork producers, and you have a situation here that allows you to continue to invest.
Yes, we are very fortunate that our youngest son decided to come back and farm. He came home about 20 years ago, and we feel very blessed because when we would go to those national pork meetings, there was always a lot of discussion about when are you going to retire? What are you going to do with your farms when you retire? Because so many of the farmers either didn't have children or had children that were not interested in coming back to farm. And it was a real dilemma to them of what to do with their facilities.
And it takes a lot of facilities because the hogs at different sizes takes different kinds of care, but it also takes a lot of feed, and that's an investment by itself as well.
Yes, it is. The market even of grain and purchasing the grain and working on that is a lot of what my husband Roy does, and I just have to keep track of it all on paper.
And then as you continue to grow, finding markets for those hogs is part of the planning and management as well.
Yes, and we are very lucky to be a part of Triumph packing plant that is in St. Joe. We've had a good working relationship with them and have been able to sell our pigs there.
So you and Roy were second generation hog producers. Mark and Kate are third generation. Is there another generation behind them?
Well, we have 10 grandchildren, 3 that live very close. Mark and Kate have 3 children. It will be interesting to see if one of them wants to come back and farm once they get out of high school and hopefully go on to college. We'll see what comes, but we would be thrilled to have one of them come back and carry on the tradition.
We are with the Henry family today on their open house for their new sow gestation and farrowing unit. This is Kyle Bauer reporting from southern Clay County.
Thanks, Kyle. When we come back, it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
No one plans to get sick or injured. But when life happens, it's important you and your family are protected. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans are there to provide continued health care coverage to meet your needs. Choose from a broad range of individual and family plans. And if you're over 65, we have options for you too. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau Update.
My name is Jim Schmidt. I represent the 5th District as a board member on Kansas Farm Bureau's Vote FBF PAC. We typically get recommendations from almost all, if not every county, through the CEC process, which is the County Evaluation Committees, and the 10 of us that meet each represent 10 to 11 counties, each come from our specific district, and we get together multiple times a year depending on the election cycle to discuss state level and federal level elections. Right now we're getting together working on a lot of the state level elections today. So as the process moves forward with Vote FBF, the recommendations that come out will become public. We will share them with each of the candidates, and then those candidates have the opportunity to do a rollout with our endorsement. You've already seen that obviously with the federal levels, with Congressman Marshall's endorsement, with Jake Turner's endorsement, with Tracy Mann's endorsement, and you'll start to see that also at the state level, both on Senate races and on House races.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to western Kansas.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk, with the guy who always says, trade minds with each other. Ideas build on ideas. Duane, the smart guy, Taves.
Sometimes I amaze myself with what you think I might have said.
You don't even remember saying it.
I don't even remember saying that one.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I listened very closely to what you said.
You got to be careful with who you trade brains with or minds.
Uh-huh.
You don't necessarily want to take a step down.
Well,
that means the other guy has to.
Well, that's just like marrying up. Yeah. Every time somebody marries up, somebody else married down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little cautious in how you bill that as to whether it was a good thing or not.
You've got to be careful also that you don't get too open of a mind. Your brain might fall out.
Falling out. Speaking of bills,
okay,
the red-billed camellia.
Wait a minute, were we speaking of bills?
I said how you bill it earlier, right before you started
in the
talking
last
again.
show.
No.
Okay.
The red-billed camellia.
Camellia?
Camellia.
Is that a dog?
And I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Is that a dog?
Quealea. Is
that a bird?
It's a bird.
All right.
Red-billed camellia.
All right.
Most common bird in the world. Fact or fiction?
The red-billed camellia.
And we're going with an assumption on that camellia part. I spelled it. So.
All right, that's close enough. It's like, that isn't going to make a difference here. Well, it might. I haven't seen one in my yard, so they can't be too popular. Of course, it is a big world. If you have them in Africa, you could have a lot of them, and who'd be able to even count them?
There ain't hardly much to eat over there in a lot of places.
Oh, my goodness. You obviously haven't been to Africa.
No.
And you don't even know what a red-billed camellia eats.
All the
Maybe
pictures
they
I've
eat
seen.
Sand.
They eat sand. They live on sand.
Right. You know what? I'm going to go with fact.
It is a fact.
They eat fish, don't they?
I have no idea.
A red bill.
There's a picture of him that I got to look at on my phone there.
Does he look like he's floating on water?
He looks like the common sparrow.
Oh. Do you think there's less common sparrows around now than when we were kids? Maybe it's just where I go, but when I was a kid, they were a true menace. I mean, every building they were in, and now I just don't see
that many in the building.
And I just don't. I see them from time to time, but I don't see them as a menace like I did then. Like
when I was a kid, we had the
red-tailed blackbirds.
The menacing bird was.
Starlings?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me out there.
Well, they're still menacing today.
Yeah. Kind of depends on where you live, on how many of them you have
certainly around livestock operations is where I see them. And they, why wouldn't you live around there if you're a starling? You like grain, and there's lots of
plenty
grain
of that to be had.
Right. In the cities, I'm just amazed at how much of a problem they have with pigeons.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And they don't appear to have any way to deal with it because somebody would.
They don't like you to poison them.
Right.
They don't like you to shoot them.
Well, shooting is discouraged in the city.
I mean, those are your two most
highly successful. How else would you? I guess you could do falconry.
Yeah, or you can trap.
Oh, yeah,
but
you
then
could trap.
They come back, it seems, or others move in and take their place. So
I was about to tell a story about my wife's grandfather who built a live trap, and I'm not sure I can. Oh, well, okay, since you twisted my arm. He built a live trap, and he called it a humane trap.
Okay.
And it's just your normal box live trap.
Right.
And he built one, and I said, well, he kept calling it a humane trap. And
what did he do with them after he caught
them? And that's
why
I said, well, after you get this caught, Shelby, what do you do with it? And it's like, well, because this is a family show, we won't say what Shelby said to do with them. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.